Cheers, Angus. You're on Roy Youth Disability Radio. And joining me is one of the wheelchair basketball all-stars all the way from Orange. I'm, of course, talking to Brianna Smith. Brianna, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thanks.
That's good to hear. So before we get into it, Bri, what is your disability?
I have cerebral palsy.
Oh, yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So I've had cerebral palsy since birth. I was born premature. My cerebral palsy is cerebral palsy spastic diplegia, so that mainly affects my legs, my arms, my brain, that's all working fine. It just mainly affects my legs.
Yeah, right.
So I can use a wheelchair or a walker for mobility, and yeah.
So, Brianna, like I mentioned in the intro, that you're a wheelchair basketball player. Can you tell us a bit about how you got into it?
So I was down the street, I was doing my shopping, I was in my wheelchair, and this elderly couple came up to me and they're like, oh, did you know that wheelchair basketball is like playing in Orange? And I'm like, no, really? Because I didn't really know anything about it. So they told me and I looked it up and it was being run by this guy called Philip Dederer. And it actually turns out that he was in a wheelchair himself, but not from birth. I'm pretty sure he was in an accident of some sort. So I checked it out and I gave Philip a message. I'm like, what's this program about? And so my first ever time going to the wheelchair basketball, I'm pretty sure was in September of 2023. The program is very good. You don't need to be disabled to play in wheelchair basketball. So you can be able-bodied and a wheelchair will be provided to you. However, if there is a person that's actually in a wheelchair, they get prioritised over the able-bodied people. So if you're actually in a wheelchair and you're playing wheelchair basketball and there's no wheelchairs left on a team, you will get prioritised over everybody else.
Yeah, okay. So, Brianna, before you joined wheelchair basketball, were you pretty sporty beforehand or...?
Now, I wouldn't call myself sporty, but because where I'm based in Orange and there hasn't really been any disability sports opportunities, it's really unfortunate because, I reckon there should be more recognition and more programs around it. So no, I wasn't sporty before wheelchair basketball, but I would have loved to be. There just wasn't many options and opportunities around that sort of area.
Well, you are now. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And look at you now on live radio. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So, Brianna, since you joined this wheelchair basketball program in Orange, what are some of the highlights since participating?
Some of the highlights would probably definitely be seeing everybody work as a team together, all the teammates and peers working together, us growing as a team, seeing everybody smiling and laughing, It's a wonderful program. Even if you're not disabled and you want to do wheelchair basketball, it teaches you different skills like hand and eye coordination and stuff like that. You focus on a lot of different areas within the sport that you wouldn't think you'd focus on if you could actually walk and do basketball.
So do you guys have any games coming up or?
I believe that our first ever game is actually going to be on the 11th of April. Ooh. It's going to be in Orange. I believe it's going to be at PCYC.
Yeah,
and
cool.
We're doing an under-13s rep team that we're playing again. So yeah, that's exciting. We've also got a few games coming up in Sydney in around June or July. I'm not sure about the dates about that, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Got to make sure that we're up to date covering all that for the show. So if we want more updates or anything like that, do you have any social medias that you like to plug so people can be more up to speed?
Yes, I do. So I can be contacted on Instagram, Facebook. So just type in Brianna Smith. I have 2,500 followers on Instagram. Even my TikTok, it's official Brianna Smith. I've got 3,000 followers. And if you want to get in contact with me, just try to search me up on social media. I will try my best to respond to you. And yeah.
Look at you, 2,000 followers. We have such a celebrity here. Wow.
I know, right?
And this is your first interview, correct?
Yes, thereabouts.
So this is your radio debut. So do you want to...
I know, right?
Yeah. Do you want to say anything to all the Raw listeners out there before we wrap up?
If you're a person living with a disability or you know somebody that has a disability, don't be afraid of going out there in the world. Don't put your head down. Don't feel ashamed of, what you've been given. You need to look people in the eye,
Yeah, of course.
So don't be afraid. Don't sit yourself in a house or in a room and watch the world go by, because you are more deserving of life than anybody else in the planet. We are all equal. we all deserve that love and life.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, Brianna, thank you so much for taking the time to talk all about wheelchair basketball. This was quite a great conversation.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it.
Well, anyways, I'm Brandon McMillan, and I was just talking to Brianna Smith from Wheelchair Basketball at Orange, and you're on Raw Youth Disability Radio on Coastfm 96.3.